What's up, guys? This is the Osmo.com Night Shift Podcast. We are talking about some baseball for Thursday, June 21st. We've got a 7-game main slate and then a 3-game early. I'm going to talk about the main and then just generally about the early slate. Josh and I will talk more about it tomorrow morning. We'll probably lead off with that for the people that want to play the 3-game slate on DraftKings. So main slate first, get to Osmo.com, check out the premium package for MLB. It's a pretty awesome deal. With that, you get access to the rankings from Osmo himself, and then as well as his projections. So I always talk about how much I love the projections. I think they're very helpful, helping me become a better tournament player and making it easier on me. So I suggest you subscribe to Osmo.com and you can reap the benefits of those. So let's get into this slate. We've got Baltimore and Washington. Kevin Gausman against Max Scherzer. I love Gausman as a pitcher, but this is really not the spot for him. I don't think I can I don't think I can play pitchers against the Nationals. I mean, he is at the right price, 6,600, and he has great stuff. Or maybe not great stuff. He's got very, very good stuff. Gausman does. So I like him. I don't know that I can get to the point of playing him because there's just so many landmines in this Nationals lineup. He's not immune to a blow up either. So I like the Nats stack a little bit more than I like Gausman. But if he's off even a little bit, he could get clubbed here. So once again, I'm on the Nats stack, but that's nothing new. If you've listened to us the last couple of days, Josh and I have both been on it, and it's just a scary lineup. Scherzer going for the Nationals. This is just the absolute nut spot for him. He is 14-5 on DraftKings. I think that's the highest price I've seen for a pitcher over the last couple of years. I mean, still, if you can fit him, I think he's an awesome play. Like, I don't know how he doesn't get to 30-plus fantasy points, and there's really no other pitcher that I think can come close to him. I mean, you can make a case for Bumgarner, but, man, it's tough. This pitching slate is not great. And we'll get into some more guys, but I'm not playing any bats against Scherzer. I want to start making lineups to see how this construction works out, if you can even get to him with any stack that we like. But that's we're a long way away from lock, so we'll do that in the morning. But Arizona and Pittsburgh, we have Zach Godley going up against Ivan Nova. I want to buy into Godley really badly. I want to be back in on him. 2 straight good starts. Swinging strike rate is back up. Still not getting a lot of first pitch strikes. And he's still walking guys. So these outings could be even better if he just puts it together for one start and stops walking 3 or 4 guys, gets ahead of guys. Then he could have a huge start here against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not a great matchup for him, but he's fine against lefties as well as righties. So I'll have a bunch of Godley. So tentatively back in on the Godley Express. If you're going with Pittsburgh bats, I think that Dickerson and or Colin Moran are both solid options against Godley. He does give up a lot of hard contact to both righties and lefties. So Nova on the other side, I mean, just no interest, not enough righties in this Diamondbacks lineup. They're kind of chock full of lefties. So I love the Diamondbacks stack against Nova. Anytime you can play power lefties against Nova, I'm going to be interested. And you can play a handful of them here. Lamb, Peralta, Descalso, maybe Alex Avila if you can stomach that, but he's been atrocious. And then Paul Goldschmidt is just off the charts. He's white hot right now. So Diamondback stack is one of the better plays on the day. Chicago, the Cubs, and the Reds. We have Kyle Hendricks going against Matt Harvey. Hendricks, not a great matchup for him, so I'm probably not going to look to end up with a bunch of Kyle Hendricks in this park. He can create ground balls, especially against righties, but I don't know. There are a few lefties in this lineup that I'm worried about. Votto, Scooter Gennett, Winker's probably not going to strike out too often. Schebler, same thing there. So 7,600 for Hendricks. It's not perfect, and it needs to be perfect for me to be wanting to play a bunch of Kyle Hendricks. Matt Harvey grades out as one of the worst pitchers on the day for me, if not the worst. Maybe there's one guy that's below him, but there's just nothing to like when you look at either hand. If you look at his splits, the Cubs should be able to tee off on him, especially the lefties here. So just any left-handed bat against Harvey is in play for me right now based on the way Harvey's pitching, but they should be chalky here. Rizzo, Hayward, Schwarber, Zobrist, Ian Happ, one of my favorite plays on the slate, and then Wilson Contreras if he's in the lineup. Javi Baez. This lineup looks pretty deep. Chris Bryant, I didn't even mention him if he's hitting leadoff. So Cubs stack going to be popular, and I think it should be. Oakland and Chicago, the White Sox, Chris Bassett against Lucas Giolito. Not a pitching game for me here. Bassett has a 12.6% whisk per swing rate in his first two starts, which ranks in the bottom three for over 200 pitchers. So to give you some context, that is just above Bartolo Colon. And he does not have the command that Bartolo has, obviously. So the White Sox bats are firmly in play, and Bassett will be out of play for me. He's 6,300. Like, if he was 4K, okay, I could see playing him. If he was priced where Giolito was, but not for 6,300. I mean, you need some sort of swing and miss upside, just a little bit at least, and he just doesn't have it. So I'm going to jam in some White Sox bats, specifically Moncada, Palka, Abreu, and then Matt Davidson, just much improved, hitting both sides very well. So White Sox bats. There's a lot of good stacks on this slate, including on the other side of this game, Lucas Giolito. He's probably the worst pitcher on the slate for me. Almost every time he pitches, you just can't seem to get the walks in order. Lefties are especially good plays against him as well, but I'd take almost anyone against him at this point. He's just the perfect pitcher to stack against. Anyone who is capable of 5 and 6 walk games, they're just always good to stack against. It's just another hitter that gets to go up. You just turn that lineup over, and your guys get more chances to get RBIs and just, hit homers and all that. Like, it's just, he's such a good pitcher to stack against. So I will be all over Matt Olson and Chris Davis and Chapman and Dustin Fowler if he's in there. It's just Oakland. This is such a good game stack. Matt Olson probably has the best chance to go deep of anyone on the day, I would say. Maybe outside of Anthony Rizzo, but love the A's, love the White Sox. No pitching for me in this game. St. Louis and Milwaukee, Carlos Martinez against Junior Guerra. Martinez, back-to-back games with 7 and 6 walks. That's pretty concerning for me. There's some good hitters in the Milwaukee lineup that I always talk about, especially from the left side. And Carmart struggles with lefties. He's completely boom or bust here. He's had one great start and one good start against the Brewers this year. Not that matters, but I always like to look at how guys have fared against this team in past starts, especially recent starts. But the walks and the hard contact are concerning here. You can make a case for Carmart. Most times he toes the rubber, but you just never know when he's going to have one of those 6 and 7 walks games, and he's done it 2 times in a row. So I like Yelich and Thames. He's got a 5.29 xFIP and 1.53 WHIP with 7 walks per 9 against righties. That's for Carmart, of course. So if the Brewers are able to throw in extra lefties, I'm assuming VR, Thames, Yelich, and Shaw will be in there. If they're able to get any more lefties than that, I would even go as far to say I would consider stacking against Carlos Martinez. Guerra on the other side, looks pretty interesting to me. 7,400, just went 6 innings, 7 Ks, no runs against the Cardinals about 3 weeks ago. And it looks like he's had an impressive run of starts over his last 5 or so, getting more swinging strikes, more chases, and going to get a righty-heavy Cardinals lineup. So Guerra is interesting to me. I'm assuming he's going to be lower owned than Kyle Hendricks. That may be way off, but that's just from eyeballing this slate. I think that he makes for a nice pivot if Hendricks is going to be the chalk mid-tier option. Toronto and LA. The Angels got Aaron Sanchez against Tyler Skaggs. Sanchez is a really tilting guy to play and to play against pretty much this entire season. I can't trust him here against like Mike Trout and the Angels and some other good hitters that they have in their lineup. 6,400. I think I'd rather take a chance with Gausman in as bad or worse of a matchup than go with Sanchez because I just don't know about his stuff from game to game. So I like Trout. I like our boy Jose Miguel Fernandez, Luis Valbuena, and Andrelton Simmons. So I'll be on some LA bats. I think they're a pretty solid stack here. Not one that I'm going all in on or anything, but definitely top 5. Skaggs should see 9 righties here. He's 10-7, so it's going to be tough to get up to him when Scherzer, I mean, it's not like you can just go up to Scherzer for $500 more. You got to pay, what is that, $3K more, $3,800 more to get to Scherzer. So Skaggs has a 24.4% K rate against righties. So the 9 righties doesn't really scare me. 3.9 or 3.79 xFIP, and then Toronto isn't the best strikeout matchup, but pitching is tough. And if you are for some reason fading Scherzer because of price or whatever, you're going to need a big performance out of Skaggs to mitigate that, mitigate the Scherzer points that he's almost surely going to get. Like, so, man, it's just really tough for me to get to Skaggs. I'm just struggling to even talk through and try to convince myself that he's even an okay play. What kind of contest do I have open right now? Oh, I have a pick'em contest open. All right, one last game on the main slate, Padres and Giants. Tyson Ross going up against Madison Bumgarner. Bumgarner going to be a popular option. I am almost sure of it. He is 9,400 on DraftKings. So, I mean, I get it. He's at home. He's against the Padres. The Padres do strike out a bunch, but I'm not super impressed with what I've seen out of Bumgarner so far. So I'm kind of more on the fade Bumgarner side of this. He's only striking out 9% of righties. Very short sample, but 50% hard contact almost. That concerns me, and at what I expect to be high ownership, I'm probably going to take a pass on him. So I will go after him with guys like Renfroe and Villanueva and even Franmil Reyes. So kind of haven't been on Bumgarner the whole time, and I think that continues here. Ross on the other side. If there's any speed in this Giants lineup, I don't know much about if they have guys that can steal, but yeah, no steals for Joe Panic. Yeah, I don't think they have a ton of speed in their lineup, but they would be appealing against Ross if that were the case. Ross is 7,800. I think that's too high for me in a not great strikeout matchup. So this one's kind of a wash for me outside of maybe a few leverage bats for the Padres. Let's go to the early really quick. Let me open a DraftKings tab. Where are we at here? All right. The early slate. I'll just go through game by game really quick. Seattle and the Yankees. Paxton versus Severino. These are probably the top 2 pitchers on the slate for me. Paxton's 8,300. That's a nice price. It's really tough to pitch to all these righties in Yankee Stadium for a lefty, but he's got the strikeout stuff to dominate, and he's going to be a scary play, but one that has a lot of upside. If he makes one mistake, he could just get pounded. Like he could have the Blake Snell game where he's doing well through 5 innings and then one hit, and it's a a 3-run home run. So Paxton's risky, but you get a discount on him, so I like that. Severino, he just got such good stuff. 12K, he's overpriced for sure, but that's sort of the nature of the 3-game slate. So I'm willing to use him as my SP1 on a short slate, striking out almost 30% of righties, almost 35% of lefties on the year, and he's going to have the advantage against, I think, everyone in this lineup. So that sounds like SP1 material to me for 12K. If you can make the bats work, I think he would be the guy I want to get in as much as anyone. Boston and Minnesota. We have Rick Porcello against Kyle Gibson. I hardly ever get to Porcello. I don't think it's a great matchup for him either. And I think he's going to be pretty decently owned because Minnesota is a below average team, and everybody knows that. And Porcello's not been very good against lefties either, giving up a bunch of hard contact. And Minnesota has some good lefties. I don't want to target righties against Porcello, but Rosario and Escobar and Kepler, those guys all make me a little bit interested in a Minnesota mini stack. So yeah, I am not on Porcello. I am on some Minnesota bats. Gibson, just a righty against Boston. That's about as bad as it gets. He's 5,900, so if you want to punt, I mean, go right ahead. But there's a pitcher that's right next to him in price that I would much rather have, even though it's a worse hitting environment. So I'm talking about Freeland there, but Gibson, I mean, I don't even want to say he's an okay option because I don't think he is. I don't think any righty or any average to below average righty against the Red Sox is in a good spot. So I'd rather play Freeland. I'm pretty confident about that. Boston bats are, of course, all in play. You've got Betts and Benintendi and JD Martinez. And so pay attention to ownership for Coors and for the Red Sox, because if the Red Sox are going to be significantly lower owned than Coors on this early slate, then I'll gladly make that pivot and go much heavier on the Red Sox. Mets and Rockies, last game of the early. We have Steven Matz against Kyle Freeland. Matz giving up 40% hard contact to righties this year. The Rockies absolutely rake against lefties in Coors. This one's pretty easy for me. Not a fan of Matz, not even at 4,700. Just not going to do it in Coors. The Rockies are my favorite stack of the night, or of the day slate, but they'll be the highest owned, I would think. So LeMahieu, Arenado, Story, Desmond. I'd even like Blackman and Cargo against Steven Matz. All these Rockies bats are in play. Iannetta as well, if he's catching. They're my favorite stack on the early slate by far. Now, ownership makes it a little bit difficult. So, again, check out the ownership projections. Make sure they're not getting out of hand and we don't have 40%, 50% owned hitters, because then there's always a case to be made for a pivot. Freeland, actually, I think he's one of my favorite options. He's definitely a top 3 option for me on this slate. And there's really only 3 pitchers I want to use: Severino, Paxton, and Freeland. He's just great at creating ground balls, even in Coors. The Mets have awful numbers against lefties the whole year. They got to Tyler Anderson a little bit, but Freeland not going to do anything great, I don't think. But as far as pitchers go in Coors, he's one of the safer guys that pitches there often. So if he can keep the ball on the ground, which he has been able to do most of the year, then I'll be having a bunch of Kyle Freeland on this early slate. So I'm kind of excited about playing a pitcher in Coors at hopefully low ownership. All right, guys, that'll do it for the night shift. Hope this got you started on your research for June 21st. Enjoy these 2 slates. Check out the MLB Spotlight Hitters, Pitchers, and Stacks, the strategy video, the live stream with Chris and Josh, and good luck on both of these slates.